be blown away as the Quincy King Yhwach's fearsome Sternritter squad march in. The second cour of the 1,000-year Blood War arc is here, and it's time to acquaint ourselves with the Sternritters with their pristine military uniforms and aura of dread. Today we'll be ranking all 27 Sternritters and uncovering their SCHRIFTs. And yes, you guessed it, manga spoilers ahead, so consider yourself warned. With that out of the way, let's dive straight into the action with number 27. Cue the question, Berenice Gabrielli. We first deal with the lower ranks, and at the lowest order is Sternritter Q, the question, Berenice Gabrielli. Despite having an unconventional ability to object to anything that exists, Berenice has the misfortune of having her voice drowned out by a fellow soldier and swiftly dispatched by Zaraki Kenpachi, having achieved nothing. R. The Roar, Jerome Giesbot. Next up is Jerome Giesbot, designated as R. The Roar, who is among 3 Sternritters instantly killed by Zaraki. Jerome's SCHRIFT lacks imagination as he turns into a giant ape with a sonic roar. Despite his ferocious appearance, he just manages to get in the way of Berenice's ability by temporarily deafening Zaraki before being sliced in half. W. The Wind, Nyanzal Waizal. At the 25th position is W. The Wind, Nyanzal Waizal. Although he accompanies Yhwach himself to the Soul King's palace, Nyanzal fails to live up to our expectations. His SCHRIFT gives him the power to deflect any attacks in his line of sight, but this turns out to be a fatal weakness when confronting Shutara Senjumaru of the Zero Squad. Living up to her epithet, Thousand Arms, Senjumaru weaves a replica of Nyanzal's coat in seconds, piercing him with innumerable spikes before he knows what hit him. U. The Underbelly, Nanana Najakoop. Just a notch above, U. The Underbelly, Nanana Najakoop outshines the others by briefly paralyzing the chair-bound Aizen. Nanana's SCHRIFT allows him to render his target unconscious by analyzing and then depleting their Reiatsu composition. However, the effectiveness of his ability relies on the time he takes to observe his enemy, which is not suitable for actual combat. T. The Thunderbolt, Candace Catnip. Our next contender, Candace Catnip, designated T. The Thunderbolt, possesses an impressive set of flashy skills, but she still falls short in delivering the expected impact. Her SCHRIFT allows her to generate, manipulate, and project lightning bolts, making for a fascinating ability. However, when facing formidable adversaries like Kurosaki Ichigo and Zaraki, she fails to cause significant damage and is eventually defeated by Kujiki Byakuya. P. The Power, Menelaus McAllen. Ranked number 22, Menelaus McAllen, or P. The Power, possesses superhuman strength with which she can effortlessly hurl buildings and unleash unimaginable devastation. Despite the simplicity of her SCHRIFT, her sheer strength is unquestionable. However, it is disheartening to see Menelaus being sidelined and not allowed to fully demonstrate her potential. O. The Overkill, Driscoll Bercy. In the first episode of the 1,000-year Blood War arc, a powerful scene unfolds. The lifeless body of the 1st Division Lieutenant Sasakibe Chojuro is impaled by a giant Quincy arrow, courtesy of Sternritter Driscoll Bercy. Driscoll earned his epithet, the Overkill, due to his ability to grow stronger with each kill. However, when he recklessly confronts Captain Commander Yamamoto, his arrogance is incinerated along with his mortal body, a disappointing conclusion for his character. N. Robert Accutrone. Up next is Robert Accutrone, designated as N, and one of only 2 Sternritters whose SCHRIFT is undisclosed. He confronts new Captain Commander Kyoraku Shunsui during the initial invasion. Robert manages to take out Shunsui's eye with a point-blank gunshot, which could be attributed to the distraction caused by Yamamoto's death. Although we catch a glimpse of Robert's Volstendig, the Quincy's perfected evolved form, it lacks the creativity seen in other Volstendig higher in the rankings. I. The Iron Kangdu. Taking the 19th spot is Sternritter I. The Iron Kangdu. He earns his position by successfully stealing the Bankai of 10th Division Captain Hitsugaya Toshiro, demonstrating his SCHRIFT's powers, which allow him to coat his skin with a layer of iron. In the second invasion, Kang's fortune shifts when he steps in to finish off the seriously injured Toshiro, but is trapped by the white-haired prodigy after the latter regains his Bankai. The Sternritter is later executed by his allies. K. BG9. Next we have Sternritter K. BG9, who like Robert Accutrone doesn't reveal his SCHRIFT. Remarkably different from other Quincy, BG9 is robotic. It will be interesting to watch the analytical robot square off against 2nd Division Captain Soi Fan in the anime. Having lost her Bankai to the machine-like Quincy, Soi Fan skillfully employs Mukyu Shunko, a technique she perfected through arduous training. Although BG9 eventually falls, it deals considerable damage to the determined captain in the process. L. The Love, Pepe Wakabrada. Up next is the peculiarly designed L. The Love, Pepe Wakabrada, who dances circles around Byakuya. Despite his comical appearance, Pepe possesses an incredibly dangerous shrift. He strikes down opponents with heart-shaped arrows and takes control of their hearts, which puts Byakuya in a tight spot. Pepe's powers are a lot like the 7th Espada's ability, Amor, which allows control over body parts in a similar fashion, presenting a challenge once again for the regal Byakuya. Z. The Zombie, Giselle Joelle. The dead rise at the 16th spot at Sternritter, Giselle Joelle, or Z the Zombie, resurrects friends and foes alike to create a sinister army of puppets. With her shrift, Giselle can not only manipulate corpses, but also control living Shinigami, even heavyweight captains such as Muguruma Kensei and Otorabashi Rojiro. This elevates her menace to a whole new level. Unfortunately for Giselle, her powers are no match for the cunning 12th Division Captain Kurotsuchi Mayuri, who has a proven track record of countering any and all techniques thrown at him. Y. The Yourself, Lloyd. At number 15 is Lloyd, the older of the Lloyd twins and co-owner of the title Y. The Yourself. As identical twins, both brothers can copy the appearance of their target, but Lloyd can also replicate the target's abilities and techniques. As seen in the first invasion of Soul Society, Lloyd replicates Zaraki and, according to the Kenpachi himself, posed the greatest threat among the 3 Sternritters he fought. Lloyd's shrift may prove to be a challenge for any regular Shinigami, but Zaraki's monstrous potential to grow at any given time allows him to surpass Lloyd's version of himself, cutting the match tragically short. G. The Glutton, Liltoto Lampard. Claiming the 14th spot is the petite Sternritter G. The Glutton, Liltoto Lampard. Her shrift lives up to its name as it grants her the ability to stretch her mouth hideously, transforming into a huge maw filled with jagged teeth, capable of devouring entire squadrons. As seen in her clash with fellow Quincy Pepe, whom she consumes in retaliation for attacking her, Liltoto makes for a truly terrifying opponent. The light novel, Can't Fear Your Own World, reveals an even more extraordinary aspect of her powers. Liltoto can assimilate the abilities of those she devours, similar to the Espada, Aranero Araruri. E. The Explode, Bambietta Basterbine. From the 14th to the 13th spot, the intensity reaches new heights with the arrival of the Explode. Sternritter E. Bambietta Basterbine, facing off against the humanized 7th Division Captain Komamura Sajin. Confident of her Quincy powers, Bambietta unleashes her Volstendig after Komamura's Bankai reverts to him. The most impressive Sternritter so far, Bambietta possesses a deadly shrift with which she creates reishi bombs that explode on contact with any surface. Combined with her glorious Volstendig, her power to explode becomes even more amplified. Komamura's salvation lies in his transformation into an immortal human form, without which he would have undoubtedly succumbed to Bambietta's kick-ass explosions. F. The Fear, As Note. At the 12th spot is a personal favorite, As Note, designated F. The Fear, with a chilling ability to instill inescapable fear in all who dare confront him. As Note's shrift delves into deep philosophical territory, using primal fear to incapacitate components. One of his biggest feats is the decimation of Byakuya. However, it is in his duel with Kuchiki Rukia that we get a more in-depth glimpse of his abilities, including his Volstendig Tartaforas, meaning fear of God. In this form, Asnote appears as a nightmarish figure adorned with divine symbols. A single look at him is enough to trap his enemies. But it has its weaknesses, as fear can be overpowered by immense willpower and is also ineffective against those in a deathly state. Rukia, in a living dead state, having activated the true nature of her Zanpakuto, demonstrates this weakness as she successfully defeats him. J. The Jail, Kyulg Opie. That brings us to the 11th contender, Kyulg Opie, or J. The Jail, the most versatile Sternritter so far, with an extensive arsenal of Quincy techniques. Kyulg is an expert in multiple techniques and seamlessly integrates them into his Volstendig form. He also shocks us with a rare application of the defensive Quincy technique, Lutvene, which allows him to pop his broken neck back into place. Despite his impressive skills though, SCHRIFT, the jail, is limited by its situational nature, preventing him from ranking higher. S, the superstar, masked a masculine. Time to unveil the top 10, starting with the wrestling Sternritter S, the superstar, masked a masculine. In the 1000-Year Blood War arc, the Bleach universe undergoes a dramatic shift with more outrageous characters with overpowered abilities. Mask's superstar ability is a perfect example of this, as it grants him unlimited strength and power as long as his devoted fan, James, cheers him on. And while Mask is alive, no amount of hacking James into pieces can kill the little man. If Mask's super size and strength, capable of defeating 3 lieutenants and 2 captain-level Shinigami, are not enough, even James seems immortal. In the end, it falls to Lieutenant Abarai Renji and his newly mastered true Bankai, Zabumaru, to put an end to the superstar. H, the Heat, Baz B. Ranked 9th is the popular Baz B, also known as Bizarre Black, and holding the title Sternritter, H, the Heat. Baz's exceptional abilities as a fire user makes him a formidable force. One impressive instance of this is when he negates the flames of Yamamoto's red-hot Ryujin Jaka to a certain extent, showcasing his great potential. Taking a look at Baz's 2 battles during the Quincy Blood War, they present a mix of triumph and defeat. In one, he dominates Hitsugaya with ease, and in the other, when facing off against Jugram Hoshwalth, he suffers a crushing defeat. It is possible that his friendship with Jugram caused him to hold back, or perhaps Jugram is vastly superior. Despite the outcome of these encounters, Baz is an iconic character whose fire techniques don't pale at all, even in comparison with Yamamoto's grand spectacle. Y, the Yourself, Royd Lloyd. Ranked 8th is the other Lloyd brother, Royd Lloyd, also designated as Y, the Yourself. Like Lloyd, Royd can mimic the appearance of a chosen target, but unlike his twin who can copy the opponent's powers and abilities, Royd's shrift gives him the power to replicate their personality and memories. This skill enables him to perfectly impersonate the Quincy King and even deceive Yamamoto into believing that he is battling the real Yhwach. It is undeniably impressive that Royd could knock down Zaraki and withstand the overwhelming might of Zanka no Tachi, Yamamoto's Bankai. At the same time, this feat seems quite far-fetched and vague, considering that Baz and As-Note were quickly incapacitated by Ryujin Jaka Shikai. As a result, Royd cannot be placed any higher in the rankings. A, the antithesis, Ishida Uryu. As we go through the Vandenreich ranks, we come across the familiar Ishida Uryu, who now holds a prominent position as Yhwach Schutzstaffel and the successor to his empire. Ishida's role in the 1000-Year Blood War is one of the most eagerly anticipated aspects of the storyline. Possessing a shrift that could counter Yhwach's formidable power called the Almighty, Ishida's ability, known as the antithesis, is as cool as it sounds. With it, he can reverse any event that occurs between 2 pre-designated targets. For instance, if he is injured by an opponent, he can reverse the situation and inflict the same injuries upon the adversary. However, Ishida finds himself pitted against Jugram, whose abilities are eerily similar, resulting in a humiliating defeat. The original storyline doesn't give Ishida the chance to fully showcase his powers, but we can hope the anime adaptation offers him the opportunity to shine. D, the Death Dealing, Askin Nok Lavar. For our next candidate, let's focus on Askin Nok Lavar and his shrift, the Death Dealing, or Lethal Dose in the original Japanese. Askin possesses one of the most complex abilities thus far. He can accurately calculate the lethal dosage of any substance that can cause death for himself or others. By consuming that precise dosage, he gains the ability to manipulate its effects on his intended target or gain immunity for himself. During his match with Uetsu Nimaya, Askin calculates the exact excess blood volume that would prove fatal to Uetsu and proceeds to ingest his own blood, almost killing Uetsu in the process. It doesn't end there. Askin also possesses various physical methods of attack, such as the Gift Ball and Gift Ring, with varying levels of potency of the death dealing. As a result, the targeted area dies, as seen in the case of Urahara Kisuke's eyes. Nonetheless, Askin's ability to cheat death doesn't grant him immortality, unlike the truly godlike contenders who occupy higher positions. B, the Balance, Jugram Hoshwalth. That brings us to the top 5, starting with Jugram Hoshwalth, Grand Master of the Sternritters, bearing the designation B, the Balance. Among the Quincy, Jugram alone can bestow powers upon others like Yhwach. He is also referred to as the king's other half due to his capability to wield the Almighty while Yhwach rests. Through this power, Jugrum can foresee future events, although he cannot alter them. What's even more impressive is his shrift, the Balance. During the execution of Kangdu, Jugrum initially tries to cut him with his sword, but fails due to Kang's iron skin. However, using his shrift, Jugrum absorbs Kang's good fortune, gained from a past escape from death, and redirects it as misfortune, killing him instantly. In other remarkable displays of power, Jugrum overwhelms Ishida and beats Bazb to a bloody pulp with just his swordsmanship. Yet despite these glimpses of his might, it remains a challenge to assess the full extent of Jugrum's menace as he doesn't get the opportunity to demonstrate his powers further. V. The Visionary, Gremmy Thamo. At number 4 is the Sternritter V. The Visionary, Gremmy Thamo. Gremmy's title perfectly describes his ability to turn fantasy into reality. Gremmy's physical form, too, is extraordinary as he exists as a disembodied brain within a protective container. His childlike appearance is a product of his imagination. Being the Visionary means he can conjure almost anything he imagines. From creating lava, weapons, and a gigantic meteor to altering landscapes and evoking the deadly void of space, Gremmy can fabricate elements that can instantly eliminate even the most skilled adversaries. His power extends to self-preservation as well, making him immune to harm. What's more, he can even heal himself by simply imagining it. But as remarkable as his power is, it also has a big weakness. Gremmy's imagination sometimes results in outcomes that aren't favorable to him. This fatal flaw leads him to believe, mistakenly, that he is as powerful as Zaraki and assume the Kenpachi's immense power. But his weaker physical form can't keep up and he ultimately self-destructs. C. The Compulsory, Pranita Parkinyas. Moving up the scale of craziness, Pranita Parkinyas is the third strongest Quincy. Also known as the left hand of the Soul King, it was granted the shrift C. The Compulsory in recognition of its status. It is one of only 2 Sternritters to possess its power from the onset and not receive any special abilities from Yhwach. This power allows Pranita to manipulate nerves to remotely control both living beings and inanimate objects. It is this ability that causes Zaraki to lose an arm and both legs when he attempts to touch the Quincy. Furthermore, Pranita has complete control over its anatomy, continually evolving to match its adversaries in battle. Its ability to gather information with its nerves, making it a fighter capable of adapting quickly to any situation. While Gremmy's visionary powers are extraordinary, one can safely assume that he would have met his match in the likes of Ichigo or Aizen, who are as powerful as Zaraki, if not more. The same cannot be said for the extremely tricky Pranita. Had it not been for Mayuri, with his twisted and scientifically analytical mind, Pranita would have surely posed a significant threat to the Shinigami. X, the X-axis, Lily Barrow. Today's runner-up is the first Quincy to receive a shrift from Yhwach. Holding the title of X, the X-axis, Lily Barrow is the leader of the Schutzstaffel, an elite group of 4 Sternritter who serve as Yhwach's personal bodyguards, the other 3 being Oskin Naklavar, Pranita Parkinyas, and Gerard Valkyrie, an ace marksman. Lily's shrift lets his rifle pierce through anything within its line of sight with perfect accuracy, no matter the distance, and without the use of bullets. When he opens both his eyes, he can use the X-axis to let physical attacks pass right through him. During his battle with Kyoraku, Lily reveals his true Volstendig, which allows him to recover even after being decapitated by the former's Bankai. During this moment, he takes on a different form, transforming into an angel-like mythical creature. As the battle progresses, it becomes evident that Lily possesses exceptional resilience, evading death even at the hands of a Shinigami as skilled as Kyoraku, and surviving the divine sword wielded by the Captain Commander's lieutenant, Issei Nanao. Along with his exalted status as the second strongest Sternritter, Tite Kubo's character design of Lily is also one of the best in the series. M. The Miracle, Gerard Valkyrie. Today's triumphant victor, unanimously exalted as the strongest Sternritter, is none other than Gerard Valkyrie, the heart of the Soul King and Yhwach's esteemed knight. He embodies the characteristics of old Nordic gods, presenting a captivating concept of a villain portrayed as a hero. Kubo skillfully crafts Gerard's character, drawing inspiration from Viking sagas while tailoring him to perfectly fit the Bleach universe. Similar to Pranita, Gerard possesses an original ability called the Miracle. This power is truly unmatched, surpassing even that of Lily Barrow, and making Gerard a colossal force on the battlefield. He completely dumbfounds the 3 Shinigami captains, Hitsugaya, Byakuya, and Zaraki, as he takes them on single-handedly. His shrift provides him with an endless supply of the most impossible miracles in the most critical situations. It also grants him as much strength as the damage he has sustained, transforming him at one point into a colossus that dwarfs the entire landscape. Despite dying 3 times, Gerard resurrects each time and comes back mightier. It takes not a Shinigami's ultimate Bankai, but Yhwach's Ashwaulan to finally put an end to this legendary monster. The anticipation of witnessing these amazing Sternritters and their SCHRIFTs animated is enough to drive anyone crazy. While we endure the wait, feel free to suggest what you'd like to watch next on our channel. In the meantime, don't hesitate to explore the other exciting videos we have to offer.